I think, I'll just be honest.
It's kind of the same with the zoning and tap fees too, right, Johnny? I mean, the tap fees were.
I don't even cover my costs.
No.
I mean, I didn't
And
cover,
we have asked before, but
we
it was
didn't
kind
cover
of
the cost
because of the
when we
affordability
raised
issue.
it. And now it's 3 times higher. So every time somebody taps into their house, I lose money. And my staff is the one that's doing the work. And we've added and we've added and we've added, and we're doing it. But we don't add staff. So what happens is you gotta do this a little bit, you gotta do this a little bit, you gotta do this a little bit, make it look good, make it functional. And
We need to stop worrying about that so much.
We
because-
can't.
Because, no, but what I'm saying is because these people are out there making all kinds of money off these lot splits. I mean, we're giving them a break, but they're paying $150,000 for a freaking lot.
I think it's
I mean, that's not
absolutely,
developed.
I think
And
it's-
we're giving them a break on the tap fee.
I think it's absolutely crazy that we are in the process of talking about zoning, redo of zoning and infill, when you ain't addressed what the crap's on the ground that I brought to you in 18 that says that your infrastructure is falling apart and we just keep on taking away from the infrastructure, we keep taking away from the streets, but hey, let's do this because it'll make it a lot easier. Well, guess what? You ain't gonna be able to flush your crap down the commode and then get to the plant. It ain't gonna happen.
So what I hear you saying is that our infrastructure
Cannot
is different,
handle.
it can't support it.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I have 2-inch water lines on College Street that Antioch sold to the lady, and if they wanna put a house there, I can't feed it. That's infill.
Yeah, and clarification.
And now she's split it into 3 times.
Clarification for Carmen, that wouldn't have affected the south end of town. though,
Right,
it
no, that's
wouldn't.
not why I'm asking.
Yeah, 'cause-
So.
I'm talking about the
Yeah.
things up here closer. The south end of town's probably the best.
the public works building.
Yes. Yeah. And on top of it, and I'm on a rampage now, in 2024, I have to identify every galvanized or lead line to the houses by the EPA mandate. Me and my staff have to do that. I don't have the money to hire that out, it's a $200,000 job. So me and my staff's gotta go and open every meter pit, we gotta dig down and see if it's galvanized or lead or whatever, and it's due on 24.
And that's a new unfunded mandate
Right.
from the state.
And then once the mandate happens, guess what? It's coming back. We're gonna be responsible to replumb to every house.
So on those galvanized, just quickly, do you have any idea now of how bad the situation is, or how prevalent the galvanized are?
No clue.
Just the areas where we got the grant money for.
Mhm.
No, he's talking to the houses. We can't tell you.
Right, but we know we got galvanized pipes where we've got that $1.2 million
Mhm,
grant.
mhm.
We've identified those as trouble areas, so that's the only space that we know we're planning on changing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Those will all be changed.
And the research definitely require, I'm asking a question, does it absolutely require digging? Or can I go out in my yard, open up the pit and tell you where I see it?
Because everything's underground.
Mhm.
And the other thing is we're required copper 10 feet out of the meter pit, so now we gotta find it on the other side. and see what it is.
You know, I really appreciate what you've been saying. I mean, I don't like hearing what it is, but I appreciate that you're saying it, and you as well. And I'm thinking, having a meeting like this once a year isn't enough. I mean, because I can get why you would say, Johnny, we don't give a crap, you know. I think the reality is a little more nuanced, because it's sort of like council members are up here, we're doing our thing, and you guys are down here doing your thing, keeping everything together. And this kind of communication isn't happening. And I've said this before, and it's no, it's how the system works, not the personalities in the system, I think. But I think there needs to be more ways for this kind of communication from staff to council happening on a, whether it's quarterly, I don't know how it would happen.
Yeah.
But if it, if these kind of things don't happen and these concerns aren't raised, then we don't know about it, and we keep acting on
We just did this,
We
we just
keep
did
acting
this
on
and that,
different.
and we didn't do this.
But I also
We did
think
a hierarchy thing.
these
We're
things
not on
have
the
been
same
said.
level.
They have been said and said and said and said, but they haven't been said with this level of frustration and outrage, and I am now ready to walk out the door. But they have been said for years, and that's why the level of frustration is where it is. Johnny has been saying for years, you got a time bomb under your streets, I'm gonna need this, Homink wants this development, I can't do it unless we reline the sewer and put in new lines. He's been saying it and saying it and saying it, and it's just kind of part of the deal. Well, you'll make it happen. If we get the project, you're gonna make it happen. It has been said.
Yeah, that we are victims of our success. You know, in 2019, we had the EPA send us a letter saying you're exceeding your flow.
Right.
Right, we got to it, like we reduced our sanitary flows 35%. Water losses, we were having more than 50% water losses. We cut that. And so I think that we do find ways of making it work. At times we're on detriment. Now, for me, I'll tell you that, you know, I had this conversation with the Greene County city managers, because a lot of us are facing challenges where, as professionals, it's part of our job to make council look good, to push the teams, our employees, and, you know, that's the expectation of the managers, of the administrators. I think we do, as a collective here in the county, we do a really good job, but it comes at the expense a lot of the employees, and it's not sustainable. So we need to balance it, particularly now where with inflation costs, the equity gaps that are existing, I mean, you know, employees here at Jeff Bezos doesn't pay any money, doesn't pay any taxes. You know, they hear all the upper classes making a ton of money, even in the government, and you know, that is having a psychological effect, not just on government workforces, but also on the labor force. Yeah, so there's a rebalancing that was there.
On the stormwater fee, I don't honestly, at this juncture, understand why we're not charging it. You know, I know we wanna consider the sensitivity of folks out there, but the fact that we've not raised rates in however long it's been since we've raised rates, there are things that are out of our control. And costs of things are out of our control, and, you know, as a consumer, I don't complain to the high heavens when this pack of cookies costs twice as much as it did 6 months ago. You just pay it, because blah, 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 make up a reason. You can blame it on COVID or blame it on the war, whatever. You know, but I think a stormwater fee is the kind of thing that we should consider and probably do, because it's the right thing to do. It's necessary. Not, you know, there's no sugarcoating it. And $2, if that's what it is, $2 per account on a monthly basis. You know, there is a cost of living. And if the cost of living here goes up $24 a year, I don't think there's a complaint that would push me off of that point. I think we ought to be doing it. Because, oh, by the way, you know, raising the fees is gonna come eventually. We can only avoid it for so long. But in the meantime, in my opinion, I think in addition, a new fee, because of new circumstances, hits the ear a little better than you raising what I'm already paying. It's a psychological difference, you know, but I think it can tell, it's time, it's past time.
Well, I think this is, I'm sorry, I think this is a good example of coming together on a village goal. And the finance committee had it on the agenda to talk about. I think this is something that will come forward. It does occur to me that some of the things you're sharing, Johnny, really do help to make the case for why, we deferred it for too long. And so, and I think that would be good to come up in the discussion. Carrie?
So I'd like to take that particular situation, just as an example. So John, and you said that you and Patty had made this proposal. Now, are you saying that it came to
It came all the way to
council and
And they
council?
got voted down.
In 2018.
Because I have no, I mean, granted, I don't have good memory, but I have no memory of that.
Actually, Choice won't even did a presentation.
We've had to come up at council meetings a couple times.
I mean, you and I have I've talked with you about it, and I've always supported doing it, so I don't
It goes
remember.
all the way back to when Carolyn Church.
Yeah, in 2020, right before the pandemic hit, in one of my presentations, we talked about stormwater, and then the pandemic hit. And it's been on our revenue enhancements list. It was on it last year, and it's on it again this year. So it's been something that we've been tagging, it just hasn't, either we haven't made enough fuss about it, or it hasn't become a priority for
Well, and
for
Keith,
council.
John was saying that this happened on Patty.
Yeah, it's
So-
before Patty.
And do you remember it coming
No,
to
it was
council?
before.
Yeah, it's been discussed in different iterations, I definitely remember it.
And that we rejected, I.
We didn't prioritize it, so, right.
The other thing that I'll say is, I don't know how that's gonna balance the budget, because my chemical costs for water and sewer, they're 45% higher now than what they was last year.
I'm sorry.
Their 45% chemical cost is up 45%,
Yeah.
and the pool, and we didn't adjust none of those fees.
Yeah, so yeah, and that inflationary expense happened after we approved the
Correct.
budget, so. Yeah, those are
They're challenges.
changing financial conditions that they're difficult to respond to, but we have to pay those. So I guess a good thing that we reduce our water losses, because that's less water to treat.
Okay, good, yeah, Gavin.
So I'm new here, so I didn't do anything wrong.
We'll give you that for another 2 more months. After that,
I was just trying to lighten, just trying to lighten.
You have a role
No,
too.
I mean, in all seriousness, it's great to hear from you all about this. It sounds like there's some communication, like we gotta improve, that you have more communication. And then it sounds like if we're at this, if there's, we're hearing this from multiples or department heads and it's going out, it sounds like we got some real issues with staff retention we gotta work on. So I just wanna make sure I think we're all hearing that, I don't think it's been said out loud, is that like, that sounds like something we really gotta work on. And then, Josue, I appreciate the idea that like you wanna make us look good, or at least, that idea. And it sounds like we gotta say no more. Like, if we're pushing to get more, like I heard, like, I think like, get more, and then more, and then more, and then more, and then more, well, I mean, there's just we gotta stop doing more. So I hope that'll be part of the communication is like, it sounds like there's just some different dynamics to balance here, but like also please, like, I'll speak for myself, I think other people wanna know. Tell us when you're already at capacity and then let's stop asking for more. And if that means you're already over capacity, well then we might do some things the right size. That might have to do with pay, it might have to do with personnel. And then, so hopefully that's all heard. And like, yeah, we will, it makes sense to think about revenue stuff, but we do have this larger dynamic in our community that's really complex, right? Where it's not the one little fee that added up that made it so that people felt like the community wasn't affordable. It was a bunch of things that add on top of each other. So we have a responsibility to do both, right? To try to figure out how to balance these things and figure out which of these things are our top priorities so that we can hopefully make it a community that's affordable for more people. Because I mean, the reality is I'll just speak for myself personally, I'll pay all the taxes. I can, I will, I like having a highly livable community. And I don't want to do that because I feel really nervous. There's gonna be a whole bunch of people who can't afford to keep living here if we make all those changes. So I'm super pro thinking about revenue strategies. As I said in our committee meeting yesterday, I would like to try to figure out if there are any of them that are essentially progressive revenue strategies where the wealthiest people in our community pay the most. That's the best stuff. And so anything that we can do where we're essentially, especially if we're subsidizing people that are making a bunch of money, then we should figure out
Well,
functionally.
and it affects our grants. I mean, we can't get grants because of the median income level here in the community.
That's
It's
good to know
high.
too. Yeah.
But it's it's the wealthier people that,
Yeah. So anyway, I just had big picture. Like I really want to figure out how to make this place like this a place that people want to work. and that feels really good to work. So I'll just say, I hear that as a council person. I hope we can figure out how to be part of that. I hope that means that that y'all tell us more and more loudly when you're not getting what you want and why you think that matters. And then I hope together we have a really vigorous debate about how do we make this an awesome place to live for as many people as possible, recognizing that there's some inherent tensions and that we're a 3,500 person community with terrible federal tax policy, terrible state tax policy. I mean, that's why we end up with these tensions, right? So just so we know, like, it's not, we have outside forces, but that we can work to figure out how to make decisions based on the reality.
I told you they had the right choice, I knew you had the right choice, see?
And also, I'm gonna be able to flush my toilet, so. Go ahead. Can we just start there?
I also am aware we have two other staff people who might want to lay stuff out on the table.
I'll go first, sort of continue the trend. Without piling on, maybe say something new. But, you mentioned balancing the budget or, this idea of like, staff sacrifices. And I think, part of it is that we maybe want to be transparent about what those sacrifices are.